Hey guys, my name's Eman and today I will be talking about my dream fan casting for a live action adaptation of Brotherhood. I have already made a video explaining how I would adapt the story of Brotherhood into a film, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, let's get into it. So, I just want to address the fact that I will be casting the characters as primarily Caucasians, as the way I interpreted the story is that a mistress is based loosely on World War II Germany. Meanwhile, Xing seems to be largely based on ancient China. So, considering all of this, I will be casting the characters accordingly. Just as a side note, this is my dream fan casting for Brotherhood. In reality, the cost of all of these actors, along with the casting of A-listers into minor roles, would not realistically be made by a Hollywood studio. But hey, we can all dream, right? So, let's start with the main characters, Edward and Alphonse Elric. Edward is a remarkably hard role to cast, seeing as he has to be a very good actor, ideally blonde, still a child, and short. After lots of deliberation, I have decided that Noah Schnapp of Stranger Things fame would be amazing in this role. In my opinion, he is the strongest of the Stranger Things actors, and he has the range and look to pull it off. He is young enough that he won't age too quickly out of the role, and with a good hair and makeup team, I'm sure we could give him that insane blonde hair. So, Noah Schnapp as Edward Elric. Just as a side note, if I was making this video 5 to 10 years ago, we would have an amazing option available to us, Taron Egerton. Taron would have absolutely destroyed the role, and he would have been the most perfect casting for Ed. Now, moving on to Al. Al is the heart of the story, and we need someone who can convey a range of emotions with their voice while still sounding childlike. Seeing as Al would be a CGI character, it'll be a voiceover only role. Considering all of this, I have chosen Asher Angel, who you could know from Shazam. He is a surprisingly good actor, and his voice is still sweet and gentle as Al's should be. As for what we actually see on screen, I would probably opt for a CG model of Al. However, if the budget isn't large enough to create a realistic looking model, then I think we can go a similar route as Doom Patrol and have a large man in a suit of armor portray Al on screen. Also, I would like to give an honorable mention to Jaden Martell. He is a really good fit for Al when he is in his human form. He would have been my pick for Al's voiceover as well, but he's 17 now and his voice has gotten too deep for the role. Okay, now that we have cast the brothers, let's move on to the film's main antagonist, Scar. Scar was the hardest role to cast for the film. Because the character of Scar is so serious and deeply traumatized, we need a really incredible actor to be able to portray him well on the screen. So while we need a highly capable actor, it's also important that Scar looks distinctively Ishvalan, as well as looking older, while also being a physically large specimen. Now, this is really hard to cast, but I have found two ways we can go about this. 1. We cast the actor who probably looks the most like Scar and definitely has the acting chops to do it, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin has proven in recent times that he is an amazing choice for creating a sympathetic antagonist. Both Cable and Thanos were amazing performances, and look at this picture of him as Cable. Get rid of the sci-fi aesthetic and turn it into fantasy, and you've got Scar. Now, I am aware that he is arguably too Caucasian for the role. However, I would like to remind everyone that no one knew that Scar was Ishvalan until they revealed his eyes. This means that the skin tone of Ishvalans isn't too different from the Emestrians, as Scar is not instantly recognizable as Ishvalan by skin tone alone. What I'm saying is, an Ishvalan skin tone could be mistaken for an Emestrian with a strong tan, meaning that Brolin could play the part. The second option is casting Adewale Akinyo. I need to fucking look up how to say that. The second option is casting Adewale Akinoye Ajbaje as Scar. This would be a very different take on the character, but it is a direction that I can see a Hollywood movie taking the story. And I think it could turn out amazingly well. Triple A has the imposing stature and demeanor of Scar, and he definitely has the intensity and talent to play the role. I think that either option for Scar could work, but I would personally prefer to see Brolin as Scar on the silver screen. Now, let's move on to my next category of characters, people involved in the Mistress Military. We will start with the secondary protagonist of the film, Colonel Mustang. Mustang has to be an actor who can embody a young, smart, ambitious military employee, while also having a deep-seated hatred, pain, and rage inside of him. There are a few options for this role, but I have to say one of them beats out the rest in my books, and that is Adam Driver. Not only does he have real-life military experience, he is also one of the best actors working today. As a bonus, he has the pitch black hair already, and I can really see him embodying this character and giving it a depth that other actors would struggle to portray. My second choice for this role would have been Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but I think he is overall a little bit too soft for the role. Even though he might look more the part, I believe that Adam Driver's acting chops will make him the best choice for the role. For Hawkeye, there's an obvious choice, but it's also an unbeatable one. Evan Rachel Wood. She's an incredible actress, and if you've seen her work on Westworld, you know that she would kill it in this role. She will be able to really bring Hawkeye to life and make her a compelling character. And she looks almost identical to Hawkeye. She is perfect for the role. As for Havoc, I've chosen someone arguable, Alan Ritchson. In my books, Havoc is a hottie, he is funny, and he smokes. Those are his main character traits, which makes Alan Ritchson a perfect casting for the role. If you have seen Blue Mountain State, you know that the dude can be really funny. And if you're familiar with Hawk in Titans, you know that he could portray the sad boy Havoc after he gets paralyzed. Now for everyone's favorite character in the series, Alex Louise Armstrong. Armstrong is massive, over the top, funny, exaggerated, and just a pleasure to watch. This role would be a joy for any actor to play, and I think that Chris Hemsworth could really have a go at it. Chris often gets typecast as a hot guy, but he's actually really funny, and I think that out of the limited options of huge men that could portray Armstrong, Chris Hemsworth could really step out of his shell, kill it, and make an iconic character. My second choice for this role is Terry Crews, who already has some strong Armstrong energy in real life. Now we will be casting the best dad in anime, Hughes. Hughes loves his family above all else and is a very wholesome character. For his role, we need someone soft and instantly likable. I think that Zachary Levi would absolutely own that role. He is dorky and likable, and you've just gotta love his face. And he also has some serious dad vibes. Dr. Marco is an ex-state alchemist who has been through a lot. He has a severe case of PTSD from the Ishvalan Civil War. He is an older guy, and he has to have the withered look of someone who has seen some shit. I think that Jeremy Irons could really give a good performance here. He would give the characters layers of depth that some actors would fail to bring to the role, and I think he looks pretty perfect for the part. Now, let's move on to Kimberly. Kimberly is a psychopath who loves power and killing. I think the best casting for him would be the scene-stealing Tom Hiddleston. I think he definitely has the look for it, and he can play that unhinged kind of character. He would absolutely sell everything that Kimberly says. For Shao Tucker, we have a pretty fantastic option. Michael Emerson. He already looks the part, and he's a killer actor. He can definitely portray that creepy, we shouldn't trust this guy vibe that Tucker has about him, and he would really sell the role. Now, let's cast the next category of characters, the 7 Sins. Let's start with the secondary antagonists of the first film. Again, if you want to check out my video on how I would adapt the story of Brotherhood into a trilogy, check the link in the description. Anyways, the secondary antagonists of the first film are lust, gluttony, and envy. For lust, there is an obvious choice, but it's also the best one in my opinion, Eva Green. If you've seen her in the disappointing 300 sequel or in Sin City sequel, you know that she can play the embodiment of lust very well. She is perfect for the role in every way. My second choice for this character would be Emilia Clarke. I think she's a bigger movie star at the moment than Eva Green, and I think she might really enjoy a role like this to cleanse the filth of Game of Thrones Season 8 off her. Gluttony should be a mix of CGI and motion capture, in my opinion, and I think that Matt Lucas is the strongest choice for the role. He already has experience doing something similar as Tweedledee and Tweedledum in Alice in Wonderland, and he just looks like he could really kill it as Gluttony. Envy is an interesting role, as Envy's sex is never revealed. They are an androgynous character, and I think that an actor who would love this role and could also do a really good job is Ezra Miller. He has that look that could be considered either gender, and I can see him doing a really interesting portrayal with the character. He has also proved himself often as being a really solid actor and not just a pretty face. Now for the Führer King Bradley, aka Wrath. Based on looks alone, Tom Selleck seems to be the obvious choice. I mean, look at this Photoshop job of him as Bradley. It is uncanny. However, I feel that he has aged a bit out of the role, as Bradley has to be someone who can really move through a fight sequence. Despite being in his 60s in the show, he still has black hair and a fit, athletic body. He has to be the literal personification of wrath, and there is an actor who has recently become the right age to play this role. Hugh Jackman. Now, we will have to give him a proper haircut, but he is perfect for the role. He is physically large, definitely getting old, but he is still remarkably athletic. If you have seen Logan, you can see that he really has the range to play this character, and there's of course the obvious parallel between playing Wrath and playing Wolverine, a comic book character who is always unleashing his fury on others. I think that Hugh is the perfect casting for this role. Greed is probably the least straightforward of the sins, and he was also the hardest to cast. But after seeing Ewan McGregor in Birds of Prey, it convinced me that he could really tackle this role and do a damn good job of it. He can play that guy who wants everything, but is also a bit of a weirdo. I think he would do a really interesting and scene-stealing job as this character. As for Pride, I think that Jackson Robert Scott would do a really good job. He is 11 years old at time of recording, and he has some experience being in horror films such as It and The Prodigy. He also just has that creepy kid look to him that I think could really help sell his role. And finally, Sloth. Sloth was super easy to cast, as I'm pretty sure he'll be a mostly CG character, and the character doesn't really talk much, so his voice actor doesn't really matter. However, if we were going to do it with practical effects, Hathor Julius Bjornsson, the mountain from Game of Thrones, is the clear option, as he is the only person large enough to really portray Sloth accurately. I also think that he would do a good job of acting like the large and tired beast that Sloth is. Now that we have covered the main characters, the military characters, and the Seven Sins, we can move on to a category I have titled in a moment of inspiration as Others. We will start with the characters from Xing. I want to preface this with the fact that while I watch a lot of television and movies, there aren't many actors of Asian descent that I am personally aware of, and I have only chosen actors that I know for this video, so it's very possible that my casting choices for the Xingese cast will be just bad. So if anyone has better casting ideas, please let me know in the comments. Anyways, let's move on to Ling. Ling is funny, goofy, and silly when he is Ling, but he also has a level of skill to him that most people underestimate. However, once he turns into greed, his attitude and portrayal must change completely. I think that Manny Jacinto would be incredible here. He plays a really dumb character on The Good Place, but his charm is undeniable. I think he would be a very, very convincing Ling, but I also think there's more to Manny than we have seen. I think that given the opportunity to really delve into a character and change his attitude so drastically, he could really show the world that he can act. As for Fu, I think that Jackie Chan would be a really fun fit for Fu. He is a martial arts pro, and he could really sell that role of an old, wise, friendly bodyguard. It would be really fun to just see him in this role, to be honest. That's why I did it. Lan Fan. Natasha Lee Bordizzo is a really solid actress, and I think that she has the perfect look to play Lan Fan. As for Yoki, I think that Benjamin Franklin Chang would be amazing. He could be funny and he could deliver some levity into Scar's storyline. Now, there are only 3 more characters we have to cast for this film, and they are all very important characters to the Elric brothers. Trisha Elric, Hohenheim, and Winry. For Trisha Elric, we need someone that the audience will fall in love with instantly. She also has to be fairly young, as Trisha died when she was young. I think that Rose Byrne would be amazing in this role. She is just so likable, and she looks like she would be a really sweet mother. Now, for Hohenheim/father. One does not simply cast father. If you couldn't guess by me having a go at an early 2010 meme from a 2001 movie, my casting for Hohenheim and father is Sean Bean. I think that his likeness is too much to pass on, and he also has a very wise sounding voice. As Hohenheim has lived for many centuries, it would make sense that his voice would sound wise. Sean Bean could do a fantastic job in the role, while also getting to have fun when he plays father. And last but not least, Winry, the love interest of Ed, automail engineer and childhood best friend. Casting Winry was actually kind of tough, as there were many options, but I think that Sadie Sink could do a really good job in the role. She plays Max in Stranger Things, and that character has a roughness to her that I think would translate really well into Winry. She is also the right age for the role, and she is a really solid actress. I think she has what it takes to have that confrontation with Scar as much as any child actor could. And as a fun bonus, her and Noah Schnapp, who I cast as Edward, already know each other, so their chemistry in real life would translate onto the screen. And there we have it. Let me know in the comments how you think I did. Thanks heaps for watching, and I have a question for y'all. In what direction would you like me to take this new YouTube channel? Would you want more fan casting videos, more TV shows to movie adaptations, something else entirely? Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments. Stay safe. Bye!